GlennBeck said, and we've played the clips, that Ron Paul, with his money bomb, was planning to blow things up. He said that 7 years ago. And we have that on tape. And then he said it again a few years later. And I've played the clip. I'm not going to go over it again. But it was when he was on CNN. He knew the public didn't know what money bomb meant. And he said they're trying to get money to blow things up, a bomb. Like Guy Fawkes. It's very dangerous. We need the army to go after these Ron Paul supporters. Of course, you know what a money bomb is today. Everybody does because it became so popular and lots of groups call it that. He's a master of lying to his audience. And that's why he's getting sued. And I want to believe he's a good guy because he does a lot of good work. But he knows the FEMA camps are real, the Emergency Centers Establishment Act, and the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, and they don't call it a FEMA camp. Of course, he went searching for FEMA camps and didn't find them and went and found a fake internet one that I even predicted he would go show. I mean, I just know how these people work. And still I got upset about that. I got upset about all the rest of it. And I've just left it alone. But when somebody with 15 million listeners over the week and with all the rest of it sits there and day in, day out, week in, week out, frames what we stand for on this show, lies about us, it's very, very frustrating. And frames what's going on with the Bundys and lies and says there's no Harry Reid connection to this and there's no Chinese connection. I mean, we have the BLM documents from last year where they said we've got to get Bundy off the property for the easement for the solar panels. You have to take it off use under UN rules to then make the other, quote, biosphere area on use. It's an environmental easement where we'll let you build on this, but you've got to buy acreage over here and put it in trust. It's in the document. It's in the story breaking. Senator Harry Reid behind BLM land grab of Bundy Ranch. And they've now had Breitbart come out. And I'm going to debunk this with Brandon Darby. How many people know that Brandon Darby's an admitted FBI asset who works for the Federal Bureau of Investigation? You just look his name up. This is an FBI operative. They have the FBI writing articles saying, we're full of prunes, to quote Dan Rather. No, we're not. So I love how we got Breitbart and GlennBeck running around saying we're full of it on that. And if, there it is, Wikipedia, Brandon Darby's an American informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And that'd be fine if you're somebody like, you know, the folks we've had on that expose the weathermen and people like that. My only issue is you should disclose that in the headline. FBI asset says Alex Jones is full of baloney. And then you're wrong, and you show part of the solar farm complex that's 129 miles long, and go, look, over here, solar panels, 100 miles from Bundy. Man, that's a really bad game to play. So you know, it's just like, oh, the government's not buying bullets, they're not buying armored vehicles, but you see the armored vehicles, the black uniforms, the helicopters, and they go, Alex is wrong. Only 150 million bullets were bought, AP. Yeah, in one purchase, you add them up, it was 2.6 billion last time I counted them up. They play these games with you. And I understand that GlennBeck says he's been threatened and he's scared and he's got all these former FBI guys that protect him and all the rest of it. Whatever, okay? He goes out on the street and has like 30 bodyguards with him. Literally. I go out on the street, nobody's with me because I'm not living in fear. They're going to set me up. They're going to kill me. It's in God's hands. So there's the difference. I don't even think GlennBeck's a bad guy. I think he's scared to death watching him. Now, why am I getting into GlennBeck right now? Well, I mean, I have to at this point. I mean, because this endangers me and my family to be framed like this. We're going to play the clips coming up. I started getting calls last week about this, and I just ignored it, didn't even look it up. And then Watson called me last night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning his time, and he says, you got to watch this stuff. And I said, listen, I'm going exercising, and I'm going canoeing this afternoon, and I'm just not going to go watch it. And this morning he called me, and he said, look at it at like 7 a.m., So I went and looked at it. And he goes, you got to respond. And I mean, there's hours of it off and on. I can't watch it all. I don't have time for this. But it's basically, there's a group wants to have violence and war with the federal government and kill everybody. And that's Alex Jones. And you don't want to be with his group. And you want to be with the group not with the group that's with the government, but the group in the middle, that's me. And he goes on to say that's where God's at, and that's where Martin Luther King's at, and that the Constitution's not God. God is in the middle, pointing at himself with neuro-linguistic programming. He's saying, I'm God. I mean, it's literal Jim Jones type stuff. When you know psych warfare techniques. My psych warfare technique is just to be straight up and no holds barred, tell the truth. That's the original psych warfare technique, is just tell the truth. But I'm watching, and he's like, you don't want to be on the Alex Jones side that wants violence and killing. You want to be on the government side, as he's pointing to the other side. You want to be on the side with God, and he's pointing at himself. And everyone's sitting around him like he's a cult leader in this video. I mean, it's just freaky, man. Freaky, freaky. That's what I've been told by folks that really know Glenn Beck. They go, listen, Glenn Beck's not a government agent. This guy thinks he's God. I've been told that by 4 different people that know Glenn Beck well. They go, listen, you give him the wrong pin when he's at work. When he asks for a pin, you're fired on the spot. And they all sit there looking at him worshipfully, and he's wearing this weird, bright, striped Judge Smales type yuppie outfit, and his hair's all fake blonde now, and he's all, I mean, it's freaking weird, man. I mean, it's literally like those Eastern yogi cult guys you see on the cable channels for the Californian people. I mean, it is just freaky, and he's saying, I want violence. When anyone that listens to this show knows it's the opposite. I am working around the clock to stop a civil war, and have said I don't want any offensive actions. And I've been criticized by some of the militia groups for not being, quote, hardcore enough. And that's on record. So, I mean, come on, Glenn. You're really getting into bad territory here. And if anything happens to me or something, you're going to be very liable. And I don't want to come after you financially and all that. I know it's a barrel of snakes. I don't have anything against you, Glenn. Glenn Beck, the prophet, God is giving me a plan. See, there's the headline. I mean, it's just insane. And again, God can give us all the plan, the Constitution, Bill of Rights. We can be inspired by God, but no, it's all him, he. And then he lies, that's not a godly spirit, about everybody that he's in competition with. Glenn, I'm not in competition with you. I've been more worldly in the past. God put it on my heart. I just felt moved to try to forgive everybody that's attacked me, and I forgive you. Okay, but I have to do this now. I'm going to have to get all the clips of you saying that Ron Paul, the money bomb, blow stuff up and use the army against Ron Paul supporters, and that's it. I'm going to put out the Glenn Beck deception. I got to put out the Obama deception too, and I've just got so much to do. It's just Glenn Beck, though. I have to show he's lying about me. He's telling his audience on talk radio stations across the country, many of which carry my show so they know he's lying, that I want people to have a civil war. That is the last thing I want. And he knows full well he's a liar. And they obviously got marching orders from somebody. The demonization of citizens armed in public is the way they're going to ban weapons in this country. And the fact that people showed up with guns after the feds created free speech zones, attacked men and women, tasered people for no reason, threatened people, shot a young man on a bicycle who, quote, didn't stop quick enough on his 10-speed nearby a few weeks ago. The public is sick of having feds out of their jurisdiction occupying the society. And there is now an attack by the neocon branch of things against the Constitution, against Paul Revere, against George Washington, against Americana, against the idea of the people being a check and balance against a tyrannical takeover. It's that simple. But it's peace through superior firepower, to quote a Army adage. Peace through superior firepower. In fact, guys, we pull up the exact quote. I believe that's the Army slogan. That's also known as the U.S. Motto. Peace through superior firepower. That's the whole idea. Is that, oh, you want to rough people up and beat them up if they have a sign on the side of the street? That's Tiananmen Square. That's un-American. We're going to show up with our guns, and if you want to shoot us, you'll be the person that shoots first, shot heard around the world. Now, I don't even particularly want that to happen. In fact, I don't want a civil war to kick off in this country. But the globalists are going to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing until they have the confrontation on their time at their place so that they can start the Homeland Security war on domestic groups, which they admit is their new main focus. And so a lot of people are going to get politically intimidated by that. They're going to roll over and say, okay, we'll do whatever you want. Federal court rules that Catholic churches got to pay for abortions, do it. They pass laws saying vaccinations are mandatory, got to do it. They pass laws banning homeschooling in Ohio, got to do it. They want to have national conscription, got to do it. Got to have a national police force, got to do it. I mean, this is all happening. There's no doubt. And so we say, hey, you know, go out there, show support. We didn't even say go out there armed. And we got criticized for not pushing the whole armed angle. It doesn't matter. Just say that Alex Jones, you know, is the side that wants violence. And GlennBeck on his TV show and radio show goes on for hours now saying there's the groups that want violence. There's the groups that want to kill. There's the groups that want to shoot the feds. And then he'll say, that's the Alex Jones group. You don't want to be part of it or the federal group. You want to be with God in the middle, which is lukewarm, so God spits you out of his mouth. And it's not violent to say we have guns. If things get really bad, we'll defend ourselves. It's not violent to say if they're taking people to re-education centers, the Democrats are calling for openly, that people wouldn't have a right to defend themselves. I mean, that's what we've gotten to in this country, that Mark Dyson can go out in the street and talk to 10 people in L.A., and 9 of them say, put all gun owners in forced labor camps. I mean, this is how crazy this has gotten. They're calling for arresting people that don't believe in man-made global warming. And then the response is to say that I'm calling for violence when everyone knows we're the opposite of that. And we've explained that the system wants the feds to get in a posture that's so aggressive that it then elicits some type of response and the Civil War kicks off. I'm trying to stop that Civil War from kicking off, but the feds have to back off to do that and not let the globalist above them orchestrate us into this fight. Just like the James Bond clip we play all the time of the Siamese fighting fish. I want to get that queued up. So when we come back, I'm going to play these clips in order. I'm going to play GlennBeck from his TV show saying by name, you know, Alex Jones, and then today more of it. And then they got Breitbart, who has a lot of great articles and a lot of really truthful stuff. So I'm not saying the whole organization's bad, but they have an FBI informant, Brandon Darby, saying we're making it up that there was ever a plan for the Chinese and Rory Reid and all the rest of them. And they just show you a giant map of the state, and it's a 129, 130-mile long deal, and just show you another end of it. And say, see, this is the other side of the state, playing on ignorance. We have the BLM documents from the BLM website. Then they took them down. Then they got them taken off Google Cache. We have all the proof of that. And the documents got saved on Scrib.org and all the other sites. I mean, it's a fact, folks. It's a fact that the Chinese are involved with the BLM all over the country buying up land. We've had Jerome Corsi, Rollnet Daily on. This is all over AP Reuters. I mean, this is a fact going on. And then they just say, oh, no, it's a conspiracy theory, so that we can't ever come together. Because if it comes out the Chinese government, the communists, Harry Reid are involved, politically, they're going to lose everything. So they have to say, oh, it isn't real, and who's defending them? GlennBeck, Breitbart, Media Matters, MSNBC, CNN. I mean, boy, that shows you who the establishment is.
We're on the march.
My family was involved deeply in the revolution in 1776. My family on both sides started the Texas Revolution right at the core, Washington on the Brazos. I am an American. I'm as American as it gets. And I care about this country. And I've been on the air 19 years, back when other people were shock jocks attacking the other morning radio host and telling them that they were glad that they had had a miscarriage. I got involved in media to fight for the Second Amendment. I got involved, grassroots, on Access Television to try to stop Agenda 21, UN takeover of the national parks. I made my first film in 1997. I've been physically attacked. I've been death threatened. I've been called deeply racist by MSNBC, showing no clip of me saying anything racist. And you know why? Because I create unity that beats in the heart of black and white and Hispanic and Asian and everyone who wants justice. We are the light in the dark of the night. We want freedom. And the system knows I'm genuine. And the system knows I have a heart of a lion. and that I'm not afraid of their corruption. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of being shut up. I'm not afraid of being destroyed. And so they send out their liars, the George Soros Media Matters and all of its front groups, MSNBC, CNN, Nightline, BBC, all of them attacking me every week. And why do they do that? Call me crazy, call me dangerous, call me scary. And I guess freedom is scary. I guess it is scary to see someone who doesn't care about political correctness or doesn't care about threats and doesn't care about being demonized. Because I know I'm right. And I'll tell you what really scares the system is that we continue to win. We continue to put the talking points of truth out and decompartmentalize the public so they can see the big picture and understand. Because they know the average person in the government's good. They know the average person on the street's good. They're just compartmentalized as well. And they're scared, ladies and gentlemen, because what we're saying is getting purchased. It's getting a toehold. And the truth is, you can't just get rid of Alex Jones now and have this signal stop. The White House has vowed to target alternative media. In public announcements in 2013, they vowed to infiltrate conservative and libertarian groups. Folks, I've been approached over the years by the system and told, you better sell out, you better join us, you know, you're going nowhere if you do this. And that's happened to other people in the media. And you need to understand something. When Media Matters and MSNBC and GlennBeck come out and say that I'm calling for violence, when you listen every day and you don't hear one of my reporters, you don't hear one of my people calling for that, you know it's being done because we're reaching out to the FBI. We're reaching out to the CIA. We're reaching out to the system. I mean, you don't think the CIA and FBI don't know my family's been loyal to this country for almost 400 years before it was even a nation in 1620 or whatever it was? You don't think they don't know how much of my family is honorably served in special operations and secret operations around this planet? You don't think they don't know I'm real? They got my phones tapped, ladies and gentlemen. They track everything I do. They got psychologicals. They know. They know I'm real. That's why they're scared. Because one man stands up who's honorable. There's other honorable men and women out there that will resonate with that. And that's why they're scared of Clive Bundy. That's why they're scared of the 1,000+ people that honorably stood out there in the face of government tyranny. And that's why they want to demonize Alex Jones. Because if they can bring down that figurehead, they think they can bring you down. Well, I got news for them. There's no stopping the resistance to tyranny. Just as Newtonian physics shows, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And so the tyranny comes in, there's going to be a reaction. What you're seeing by Homeland Security 6 years ago when Obama got in is when they went this direction to move everything over to the Tea Party, gun owners, returning veterans. They're going to frame us for the Civil War. We have to get out front, not be intimidated, expose they're doing that, expose it for the 95% of the FBI and CIA and Defense Intelligence and the rest of the groups to decompartmentalize them so they understand the triple game going on here, that they want to play us off in a civil war against each other. But at the same time, if the feds fire on us, we've got to defend ourselves. That's peace. Peace through superior firepower. To quote, that's the Army slogan, correct? Peace through superior firepower. I'm going to look it up right now. Go to the old NSA database, and you type in peace through superior firepower. You guys find that for me? Because I know that's the slogan I've seen on the side of helicopters. Or just go tell the riders. It's a commonly used slogan. No, but I want to put the proper slogan on. I know I want to just put it on TV. I just want to put it on screen. I don't want to, I just want to put it on screen. Okay? Now, the issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're supposed to just roll over in the ditch and be told, you go in these little free speech zones in a whole county, and you don't come out here with your guns, and you don't open carry. They're trying to ban guns. We have to open carry, or we lose the entire Second Amendment. The police chief says it's illegal to carry guns openly in San Antonio, even though the state law says you can open carry a rifle. So I went down there in civil disobedience with about 1,400 people and gave a speech in front of the Alamo. And then as soon as we left, anybody they found straggling with a rifle, they would arrest. But that'll all be beaten in court and is being beaten in court. Just like it was illegal to tell Rosa Parks she had to sit at the back of the bus. They may have had some state law saying she had to, but the law written on our hearts knew it was wrong to make her sit at the back of the bus because she was black. The government's got almost 90% of the land in Nevada. This guy was able to run his cattle on it before they claimed he had to pay grazing rights. The common law said he didn't have to do that. It's a commonly used U.S. Army slogan. Peace to superior firepower. But if you people like GlennBeck, that's not the case. But I need to start getting to these clips right now. The point is, this is the most important point. The liberty movement and resistance and even speaking out is being tarred and feathered. It's being demonized. It's being prepared to be framed for staged terror attacks in America. And GlennBeck knows this before he left Fox News. He said it. They're going to stage terror attacks and blame the liberty movement. That's why I think there's good in GlennBeck, because sometimes he really tells the truth, and he is charismatic when he does. When he's lying and stuff, he's real disjointed and creepy. And Glenn, you know that. And don't think kissing up to him so you can keep your $300 million or whatever. When the globalists, from all your ghost-written books and all the rest of it, and the science of getting money from your listeners, which is fine if it wasn't only about that. If it was about funding the liberty, that'd be one thing. But if it's about dominating and controlling everyone and bullying everyone that you're God and you're the Messiah, that's not good, Glenn. But the long and short of it is this. He knows that they're getting ready to stage stuff and blame it on the Tea Party to shut the Tea Party down. The Republican and Democratic leadership have decided to do that. You can see the tea leaves. They're as clear as the day. And so he's making his decision to say, I don't care if none of you listen to me again. I'm not going to be for violence with Alex Jones. So at the same time, he's framing the major libertarian constitutional Tea Party that Ron Paul and myself started 7-8 years ago, that the Republicans tried to take over and failed to take over. It's the grassroots opposition. It's the biggest manifestation of that. So they call it racist, so minorities don't feel like they can be part of it. To be a minority is to be anti-gun and to live in a slum. That's what the Democrats say. Oh, I thought it was to own your own business and be successful and be independent. And to be judged by what you produce and what you stand for, not what color you are. So they don't want us to come together. They said all over the news that we just showed an article on screen for TV viewers that I was behind the Boston bombing and I'm deeply racist. MSNBC blames Boston bombing on deeply racist Alex Jones. Zero proof. They had the former head of the Republican Party steal on to agree with them. The power structure, it isn't just Harry Reid and land grabs. The Republican leadership's involved as well. I mean, John McCain was part of the Keating Five. They have taken over. They have secured their criminal gains, and now they want to secure it for the future, and they want to start a civil war to bloody the nose of gun owners and to demonize us with staged terror attacks on children. You can guarantee that's going to happen. It's going to be scripted. To then once and for all make us shut up and go away. I have looked at every angle of this. It doesn't matter if you chop little kids' heads off on TV and have a computer-generated Alex Jones doing it. No one's buying it. Everybody knows the score now. The message has been sent. The jig is up. You're wide open. You're not doing this in the dark, hiding your hand. You can, work against your fellow man in the dark only so long. And so I want to tell the power structure, do not stage the terror attacks. Do not blame it on us. And Glenn, you ought to know that if this New World Order comes in, they're going to come after you. They're not going to leave you there. You're not going to be left alone now because you're so scared because all your FBI advisors are telling you come in. They live in that same culture of being afraid and compromising and doing what they're told all day and rationalizing. And so you've basically become and joined. I mean, I can already see it on record, your admissions of being run by the FBI. And, the 5 FBI retired guys, retired in quotes, the 5 retired FBI Mormons that all stand around you and tell you what to do and advise you and all the rest of this. The whole thing you're doing is an FBI program. Just like Breitbart has an FBI asset out today, Brandon Darby, saying that I have made up Harry Reid's connection to the Chinese and the solar farm that we're going to debunk in a moment. So, Glenn, I just want you to understand, I know your entire operation. I know everything about you. I mean, you just don't think that you're the only one that has intel and information, right? I mean, you think everybody around you really likes what they're seeing going on? You think your own people really like it? I know all about you, Glenn. All right? And I understand that's why you're scared of me. Now, you know who I work for? You know who I'm an agent of? Freedom. Justice, a future. Stopping the tyrants. The tyrants aren't going to give us quarter, Glenn. We've got to break with them. And I agree we don't want to start a shooting war. We want to do whatever we can to stop that. I don't like the folks calling for a shooting war offensively. But, Glenn, if we cower and just, quote, get in our houses and, quote, don't follow the Constitution because it's not our religion. He says that's not the religion now. No, the religion is God. Well, who defines that God? It certainly isn't you. So here's GlennBeck implying that I, Alex Jones, am calling for offensive violence when I'm calling for the opposite. And you know that, but his audience isn't some of the same people. A lot of it is. And so they believe now. He's slandering, defiling, defaming me to millions, tens of millions of people on stations I'm on. From Tennessee to Texas, from California to New York. They're hearing Alex Jones, man, he wants violence. He's Malcolm X. And, well, GlennBeck says he's Martin Luther King. Actually, Malcolm X was not for offensive violence, and by the end of his life, he was no longer a racist and was no longer anti-white and realized that whites weren't inherently evil. Nobody was inherently evil because of their race or their color, and that's why they killed him. So, again, it's another slander on Malcolm X, if you actually know what Malcolm X actually said. So let's go ahead now and go to GlennBeck. We're going to skip this network break. This is so important. Here he is.
Whole thing is critical, and no one will tell that story. We must tell that story, and not for cover, not for anything else, but because it's right. You know, I've said, you've got to be that person when people are saying, come over here, come over here, come over here. That's going to happen soon. The government is going to say, come to us, even stronger than they are. The Alex Jones people are going to say, come to us, because we'll free you from that. And we have to be saying, don't do either. Don't. Stay with God.
Stay right here.
Stay with God. Stay peaceful. Stay kind. Help people. Be charitable. It's going to get ugly.
And by the way, that is a direct neuro-linguistic. People kept asking me about this years ago, so I went and looked into it, read about it, studied it. He's like, don't be with Alex Jones, be with the government, be with God. And he pulls his hands into him. Be with God. Be with GlennBeck. And then he goes on, there's like an hour of this, saying that the Constitution's not God, it's actually bad, pretty much, and you just got to submit Romans 13. And I guess just get hauled off to the FEMA camp. That doesn't exist, but they've publicly built. So this was this morning on the radio where it goes further. And again, the full tape is they want violence, and then that's the Alex Jones group. Yes, I want violence, just like I want to have nuclear war with Russia, which he's been pushing lately. You know, it's just getting so crazy, ladies and gentlemen, when you know what you're hearing is literally FBI scripting, and the guys' names on it are FBI assets. I mean, they have FBI assets writing articles saying I'm lying to people, Brandon Darby in Breitbart. I mean, that's how scared they are. Because you know what? If Harry Reid goes down for his Chinese dealings, and he should, a bunch of Republicans are too. Yeah, let's get rid of all these old blue bloods. Let's get rid of all of them with the corruption and try to create some fairness in this country. Because there's nothing going to be left if we don't. Now, let's go to the next clip. This is Glenn on his radio show this morning.
They think, oh, well, you know, this will start a revolution, and then we'll have a glorious revolution, and we'll get our country back.
How do you think that works out well? I don't get that.
No idea.
I think that works. Your Egypt analogy as evidenced by their hashtag American Spring.
We've had the luxury of being
one. We've been putting out American Spring because a lot of Republican groups have been doing that, but we're saying it's an idea. It's plant a garden, get involved, take over your city council politically, run for office, promote our ideas, expose the globalist. But see, comes up, I want a violent revolution, folks. He's now saying the violent group is the Alex Jones side. No, that's a bunch of government informants leading a lot of well-meaning hayseeds into a setup. And I've said that. Let's go back. See, that's why they hate me so much, folks, because I expose the entire paradigm. All the sides of it where you can decide. Let's go back to it.
Decent movement. We have been together and we have gathered together. And there have been those who believe...
Hear the programming, we are together. We have gathered together. I was reading a Special Forces thing from Vietnam, Psych Warfare Manual. It was declassified. And it tells them how to say, you are with me. I am with you. We are... I mean, it's just he talks in that NPR voice. And did you know? I mean, literally talking and lecturing his audience. I'm just putting my cards on the table here. Let's go back to it.
Values and principles in God. And then there are those others that have wanted revolution.
Hey, pause. Yeah, values, principles, and God. We're standing up saying we're in a political revolution, and if they attack us, we'll defend ourselves for values, principles, and God. But see, those don't belong to you. They belong to him. He's Moses on the mountain. It comes out of him. You understand? Values, principles, God. You know, don't be aggressive, stand down. Get aggressive, say we're standing our ground, you're the devil. Let's go back to it.
Time. And... they've kind of come together, and they've been lumped together because everybody's been peaceful. Well, now push comes to shove, and you're going to start separating the good from the bad. You're going to have...
That's it, pause. You're going to have the government bomb another federal building with a daycare center, and it doesn't matter. We have the names of who did it. They'll just blame us. And then he'll say, see, I told you I'm not with them. His FBI handlers are telling him, you need to separate yourselves from these people because something's coming. And he's going to point his finger and say, I told you Alex Jones and his group was causing this. And MSNBC's already saying Alex Jones is going to cause bombings. And Media Matters, White House run, they're all saying with the same voice, Alex Jones is the bad man. And you see, when it all comes down, we all know who to blame, don't we? What's his name? ALEXJONES. What does it spell? Terrorist Texan. Man that wanted violence. You don't want to be with those that want violence, Alex Jones, that are offering you freedom. I'm not offering freedom. I'm saying stand up, get involved, do whatever you think. Let's just wake up. Let's get involved. Let's say no. We're close to winning. Support Rand Paul, Ted Cruz. No. I'm wanting violence revolution. And then the government, don't join them. Just stand down, which is joining them. Do nothing like you've always done. Any action, saying no to a free speech zone is terrorism. You go get in your free speech zone or we'll Tiananmen square your butt. And if anybody stands up when a tank's rolling over you, you're a terrorist. And Moses, with his Moses hair, why, he will order God to have the ground open up and swallow you up because, you know, everybody knows on Easter who goes and gives the big speeches at the Washington Monument. I mean, we all know, you know, the man of God who's got all the answers, and you go to him and that's it. He sits on the throne, speaks ex cathedra. Now, let's go ahead and go back to it. Here it is.
The Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X movement. You're going to have both of them. And so you have to decide which one of those are you. Are you the Malcolm X and the Malcolm X side? Or are you the Martin Luther King side?
I'm both.
I'm on the Martin Luther King side. Because that's the winning side. Malcolm X, just think about this. The people that you're dealing with, is there any doubt? I mean, I hate to be cryptic, but I'm not going to give these guys any more press. But the guys that are really behind a lot of this really bad stuff.
Alex Jones.
Stu. any doubt in your mind if there was a glorious revolution, they would set up some kangaroo court and they would try people like you and me and Pat and Jeffy, and we would be tried for being betraying the revolution?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a doubt that there'd be a trial.
Pause again. I've always called for due process. I've called for no violence against Obama. I've called for grand juries and juries and states and the Congress to impeach Obama. And now I want to kill Glenn Beck. I mean, that's what he's saying. We want to try him in a secret court and then off with their heads. While they set up the NDAA, Homeland Security, the Patriot Act, and say they're preparing to do that to the Tea Party, to the Liberty Movement, and we're like, we want to be peaceful, we want the government to stand down, do the right thing, but we got to get armed to protect ourselves. And then his response is, Stu, that's like a 5-year-old thing. Like, isn't it true that, such and such is a bad person? Isn't it true that they would just try us without trials and set up a dictatorship? That's why I've been against a violent revolution, because it can turn into that. I mean, literally, to hear someone take everything I stand for and turn it on its head, and to know that he's got a whole group of people that watch our show and rip all our stories off and don't give us credit and do all that, but his people listen and like the show. That's why they send us stuff behind the scenes and apologize. And he'll run around trying to find out who that is. It's like half your people, dumbass. They listen to the show, and they don't like hearing your garbage. They know I'm good. They know I'm not against you. They know I care. They know I don't want a violent revolution. And they know you're a big, fat cult leader liar. It makes me really angry. This is the type of stuff being put out. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, these are people who are very dangerous. We've had run-ins with them before. They're very dangerous. And they're wildly entangled and involved in this. I don't think the Bundys know. I really don't. I don't think they have any clue of some of the people that are there. Most of the people that are there are good. I mean, we've talked to several of them on the phone.
All right, I don't want to hear any more. I know there's a bunch of other stuff. Is there more I should play? It's very hard listening to this. So again, if you just tuned in, he earlier says Alex Jones is this group. I'm just all those people. If some plant comes or some schizophrenic shows up and shoots somebody, that's going to happen in a volatile country melting down in a depression. There'll be real stuff that happens. Well, it's all been cast. Glenn Beck tried to stop it. Alex Jones caused it. Sorry, buddy. We've got all the clips where I've exposed everything. It's all on record. You're not going to frame me. Just like the Southern Poverty Law Center, within 2 hours of a drunk Marine Corps wash-up who had 2 pit bulls and his mother tried to kick him out, and he slapped her around, and the cops came and he shot 3 of them. And within 2 hours, Richard Poplawski, they had it on the news that he did it for me. Within 2 hours, off his computer. Turned out he was a white supremacist calling for my death, stalking me online for 2 years, all over the websites and attacking me. And we found all of it, and it was admitted, and they had to retract. Now, why within 2 hours of 3 cops getting shot in Pittsburgh would they be blaming Alex Jones? Why would they blame me for the Boston bombing? Why would they do all this? Because, folks, they know I've got their whole plan. I see them. I got the sunglasses on. Rowdy Piper's listening. Like, have you guys made a promo yet with Rowdy Piper when he's on the show? It's just at the end of it. We need a They Live promo. I mean, look, you can't stop the signal. It's already out. I've already said everything. I've already put out the scenarios. I win. So, do whatever you got to do. Play your hand. Because I'm not backing down. My ancestors didn't back down. I don't know how to back down. Quite frankly, I'm excited about all this. All right, if you just joined us, I had to defend myself in the last hour because it's part of a larger frame-up by MSNBC, Media Matters, CNN, Nightline, Southern Poverty Law Center, to say that I'm calling for violence and that if there's terror attacks like Oklahoma City that we know is an inside job, it's my fault. And if they can do that to Alex Jones, they will demonize the entire real Patriot Liberty movement that is taking over the original Tea Party and that is taking over the Republican Party. We have a real shot here. So they want to say we're all racist, so minorities don't feel like they can be part of it. They want to say that we're terrorists, and they want to take the feds beating people up, pointing guns at folks, and creating free speech zones in southern Nevada and project that onto the people that showed up armed, project that onto them and claim they're terrorists that wanted to kill the feds. No, they exercised their Second Amendment as a check against the federal abuse where they said, we'll shoot you, basically, if you protest. We'll shoot you. We have video of this if you come down by the property. This was North Korean style, Tiananmen Square style, classical authoritarianism. And it's got Harry Reid and the whole system scared. But you've got John Boehner and you've got the vice president as well coming out, Joe Biden, in a whole bunch of leaked recordings and meetings with their donors saying we're worried about the Tea Party. You have the Republican leadership giving more money, this has been in the news, in the last year to defeat real libertarian constitutional John Birch Society style, whatever you want to call them, informed Americans to beat them running in state and federal races and local races. You have a circling of the wagons by the Republican and Democratic parties to destroy a revolution, a peaceful restoration through the Republican Party to try to get some sanity in this country with the Fast and Furious and the Solyndra and the Benghazi and the open borders and the secret treaties. I mean, it's all happening. There's a race to the finish because the globalists are behind schedule and people are waking up. I called for people to not be violent. I called for calm at the Bundy situation. We had reporters there at the front of it. Obviously, there were some people there calling for violence. We were against them. And we have a clip from Monday of David Knight rebuking someone on air for that. GlennBeck comes out and says the Alex Jones group wants violence. We can't be with them. Why would he join MSNBC and the rest of them? Because he's scared, folks. And he doesn't want to be blamed when they stage the next terror attack. And we have a clip of GlennBeck on Fox News saying they're going to stage a new Oklahoma City and, quote, blame me. Because they got two Democratic Party memos talking about GlennBeck and Alex Jones saying, boy, a new terror attack would sure be good to discredit these people. They didn't say we'll do it. They said it would sure help. And then Shapiro, advising Obama in the Financial Times of London, said we need a new Oklahoma City or 9/11 to get done politically what we want. I mean, they're very public about this. So the issue here is that you can see what would you do if you were the globalist with their socialist movement of domestication when the libertarian, constitutional, true conservative movement's exploding. As people wake up, you would stage events. And I get it, Beck. You don't want to be blamed. In fact, we ought to find that clip. It's on YouTube. I know the guys have it. Rob Dew has it. It's GlennBeck warns of false flag. And he said it on Fox clearer than anything. He said they're going to stage stuff and blame the Liberty Movement. Well, now he understands that that's probably going to happen. And so he's just saying, hey, the Tea Party's all bad. You know, basically, they're going to be behind the next thing. I don't care what you think. Out of fear. Okay, so this is going to happen. This was bound to happen. We need to be getting out there saying, A, we're not for offensive violence. B, we want to politically fix things. The sword is not as mighty as the pen. We are politically more and more winning. We need to all be very aggressive. But what's happening is a preemptive intimidation. If you get involved in the Tea Party, you're going to get blamed with a terror attack. No, if we don't grow the Liberty Movement now, they're going to stage the terror attack to blame us. And you see, I saw this, and then we're going to go to our guests for the rest of the hour. I saw this. I was watching this in 1995. I got on air in 95. I went down and got an access show because they were airing the Oklahoma City local news almost 2 nights later, almost in real time, every night on shows, showing the bombs being taken out, showing the witnesses that saw the FBI agents, the hotel receipts of the FBI agents the night before, seeing Jane Graham, who saw them planting the bombs, seeing the cops speak out and later killed, seeing General Parton show up and explain the explosives in the back of the building. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. And I'd read a lot of history, knew about false flags. They voted to disregard federal UN executive orders in 1995 in Oklahoma. They voted to just start basically doing what the Tea Party's doing today. And it had to be done, and the Deputy Attorney General, quote, ran the cover-up. That came out in Jesse Trinidad lawsuits in Salt Lake City. He was sent down to, quote, cover things up. And we've got his emails. He was even using emails in 95. Out to the FBI people, you need to, this is a, quote, D-Day level emergency. Get down there, clean this up. And we know what then happened. And I'm telling you, folks, they did that to blame us. And they'll do it again. These people are pathological in their criminality. I told you Fast and Furious was staged. CBS got the documents that said this will be used to restrict the Second Amendment. Of course it was. Benghazi was a false flag to give the weapons to al-Qaeda. Look at how they openly fund al-Qaeda now. Look at how all that's come out now. I want to caution the establishment. Don't stage the same old tricks you played 15, 20 years ago. It will not work now. We stopped your Syria takeover. We stopped your takeover to hand it over to al-Qaeda in Egypt. We are stopping you on every front. True patriots know your blueprint. We know your criminal operation. We're the people. We're the people. We're the cops on the ground because the cops won't do their job, so we're doing it. And we know your crimes. We know what you do. We know your signatures, and we're watching you. And when you stage stuff, we're there watching you. You're not going to get away with it this time.
Was on Air Force One with the press corps, and he said there that it was Oklahoma City that saved his presidency because after the 1994 elections, Congress had reacted against him just as the people had reacted against him and had elected a Republican Congress, including many conservatives, including my friend Helen Chenoweth Hage. And so he said, but the Oklahoma City bombing changed that. He said it created a whole mind change in the country as people began to reflect on this and decided to come together. Now, it wasn't an admission that he was involved in bringing about the Oklahoma City bombing, but we can go into that another time. My very lengthy investigation of the Oklahoma City bombing showed there was very much good evidence in that direction. Incident of this kind would certainly help, not us. It would help the Obama administration.
In fact, they're in deep trouble if they don't have that. In fact, I want to play this clip of GlennBeck. This was 3 years ago, right as he left Fox, saying they're going to stage a terror attack and blame it on me. Now, he spent a whole hour on this, showing the quotes in their internal fundraising letters to billionaires and people, but they've also put it in a bunch of other publications. And so it's very thinly veiled that they're hoping for one of these bare minimum. And then now GlennBeck is saying the Liberty Tea Party is basically going to do stuff. And he's so scared, I guess he's throwing in with them because he's putting out the talking point that's directly, I watch it, White House to Media Matters to MSNBC to everybody else. And they admit they have weekly meetings, and what you see in Media Matters, nobody reads them. They're not important, except for the fact that it is directly run by the former White House transition chief. So when they speak and say Alex Jones is going to cause violence, you know, and then have MSNBC say I caused the Boston bombing, sure, there's no proof. It's asinine, but it doesn't matter. It means that they're looking to frame us with me at the head of it. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
How can the left win the country? Watch.
Cabinets don't really sell things. The president himself has to reconnect with the people. Remember, President Clinton reconnected through Oklahoma, right? And the president right now seems removed. And it wasn't until that speech that he re-clicked with the American public. Obama needs a similar kind.
You think words will work for? Obama needs a similar kind of event. Oh, like Oklahoma City. I will be the guy who causes the next Oklahoma City. This is in a letter, an appeal to advertisers of Fox. Dear Fox advertisers, read this part of it. No one, left, right, center, wants to see another Oklahoma City. The next assassin may succeed. If so, there will be blood on many hands. They are setting up another Oklahoma City. They are claiming that one is coming, and they've already marked the one who caused it.
Let's stop.
I will be the guy.
Let's stop him. What he didn't tell you is in most of those letters and threats, I'm listed as well, along with the rest of the liberal media. And when I say liberal media, we're Thomas Jefferson liberals, pro-gun, pro-constitution, pro-freedom. These people on the controlled right and left are the authoritarians. And I want you to have your comment on this, but the issue here is I'm not going to call GlennBeck a Benedict Arnold. Okay, he does a lot of good work. I do not want to attack people that I'm seen as in competition with, because I'm in competition with tyranny to try to restore liberty. I really wake up in the middle of the night, as I know you do, William, for my kids. I know this is a hardcore tyranny that's coming in. It's not just some boss hog thing, or I wouldn't be fighting this hard. I wouldn't be risking my life if it wasn't so grave, as I know you wouldn't be. But to have Glenn get what's happening, and now he comes out and basically flips it and is almost like joining them, saying that, you know, there's a horrible Tea Party movement for violence. Alex Jones wants violence. He said this last night and this morning. We played the clip earlier. And that I'm a Malcolm X character. Extremely dangerous. What do you make of this, William F. Jasper?
Well, I think you're right. This is fear talking, probably. With Glenn, he is looking at the horizon and at things here, and he's hearing from other people. Gee, Glenn, looks like you could be blamed for this, and so rather than taking the principled course, he's trying to divert attention to others, trying to throw other people under the bus. I'm familiar with this for years with conservatives, pseudo-conservatives, neo-conservatives, etc., attacking us because they think that will endear them to the liberal left media or somehow immunize them against attacks by the establishment. And of course, it doesn't. It never does. They'll come after you later, or maybe even sooner. Many of the people who tried to throw us under the bus are dead and gone. They didn't survive. So the only wise course is really the principled course. Stand for freedom. Try to do it as wisely as you can and as forthrightly and as courageously as you can. We have something to fight for. We're fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for the legacy, our heritage that we have received. We're fighting for our children and our grandchildren. We're fighting for this great country.
And we're fighting to not be conquered and run by really evil people. You know, I use the term and say...
There's no place to run to anymore, folks. I keep running into people that say they're leaving the country and going somewhere else. Look, there's no other place to go to. It's time to stand here and fight.
William F. Jasper, I hear them go. Federalism says you do what the federal government says, when, as you just said, the federalism talks about how limited federal power is. Why even have states if the federal government's God?
Those are enumerated powers. That means they're listed, they're numbered in the Constitution, and they're delegated. That means they are given to the federal government, those specific powers, by the states and the people. We are the principal, they are the agent. It only stays that way, however, if the principal keeps the agent under control. And so I get very upset with so-called conservatives who call for big government programs supposedly to implement conservative agendas. The federal government has to stay out of those areas. We can fight over certain issues at the state and local level as to whether the government should be involved in education, environment, or those things. But first of all, as a constitutionalist, whenever anyone proposes a law, we look at it and say, okay, if you want a law there, take it up at your state and local level. There is no authority in the Constitution for the federal government, the national government, to get involved.
And herein lies the solution. If the governor had done his job, if the sheriff had done their job, and pointed out, hey, a federal judge said last year the BLM's involved in a conspiracy with environmental groups, we would have had the moral authority, they would have backed off and not almost had a civil war start. So I don't want a civil war. The globalists want to start a civil war. GlennBeck knows that. And I agree. He said in the larger interview, I don't know if you heard it or just you're so sophisticated you got it, he is afraid and says he's afraid. So, Glenn, the way to be safe is to come together and be honest that you're afraid they're going to stage something and blame us, or if people do kill each other, it's not our fault. But don't say, I'm to blame just because you are jealous and hate me. I mean, I am honored that GlennBeck takes so much of our material and does stuff with it. That's great. I'm not mad about that. You don't have to project onto me and destroy me because, you know, you were a rock jock guy in the morning and picked up my, quote, shtick, as you thought it was, and have been successful. Good for you, Glenn. And again, I never talk about GlennBeck or any other talk show host. I have to do this when he spent the last 3 shows literally, I played it in the first hour, folks, saying the violence group is the, quote, the Alex Jones group, and you don't want to be with them. And that is defamation on its face. I am not calling for violence, and everyone knows it. I'm trying to expose it. But let's talk to Rick in Las Vegas. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. What I wanted to talk about is GlennBeck. Personally, I think that he is a Trojan horse. He's just a shield trying to change the Patriot movement, the narrative. And you know, I thought there for a minute that he was actually going to do something decent, but now I can see that that's exactly what he is. He's just a shield out there.
Well, we've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know if they've gotten to him, got something on him or whatever, but everybody accuses everybody of being a shill this, shill that. I try to take the high road and never infight. I'm not. He says I'm the leader of a violent movement that's going to destroy America and that I want to have him arrested and not given a trial. I mean, that's the full clip. I mean, it has reached cuckoo level, and the way he's dressing and looking, I mean, for people I know that know him, I mean, maybe he just has gone over the deep end. I don't know.
I think that's an honor. You know, I mean, that's what Liberty and Patriots do is defend this country. So,
well, sure, but I'm not calling for offensive anything, and I get called a wimp. I mean, it's ridiculous to claim I want some kind of violent revolution. The thing is, these dirtbag globalists are going to start a war with us because they can't beat us in an info war.
You're absolutely right. And I'm not calling for violence either. I just think that people should see GlennBeck for what he is.
Well, I got to say this. I mean, he does a lot of good work, but more and more I see stuff where he's just is making stuff up across the board, and I don't know what they did. Thank you for the call, Rick. Ed in Florida, enough about him. Yeah, if you just joined us, GlennBeck spent like the last 3-4 shows, in some cases by name, saying I'm the leader of a violent anti-American movement that wants to arrest him and put him in a FEMA camp. And he does it with an image of Texas behind him, talking about how he's a rancher and feels bad for Bundy. I mean, GlennBeck is as big a rancher as Howdy Doody is. And then he's got this Texas thing behind him. He moved down to Dallas. He steals all my information, which is fine. And he just, I guess, wants me to disappear. Absolutely crazy. And then he shows tweets of people calling for violence and says, I'm behind it. I mean, just unprecedented BS. And I said I'd shut up about it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I was even going to play myself clips and David Knight saying no violence, nobody should be for violence. I don't have to prove that. Everybody knows it. It's just really creepy that he's scared they're going to blow stuff up and blame it on him. So he's saying, no, it's Alex Jones. Just, well, that's a guy you don't want with you in a jam, I tell you. The rancher from Texas. Isn't he from Washington State or something? And nothing is Washington State. I mean, you know, I'm down here. Why, I'm Yosemite Sam. I'm a Texan. Can't trust that Alex. That Yankee. Yeah.